The sultry evening sounds of Bobby Boucher.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 of From the Middle. This is a podcast from Central Ohio from three guys who are in the middle chapters of our lives, middle things all around us. That is what we do. We are middlers just like you. My name is Kendall Alala.
I'm Kory Hubble.
And Dylan Hubble.
And we are
You love doing that.
That is, I think
And Dylan Hubble. I don't have a thing, but if I did,
That would be your thing?
that would be
That
my
is-
thing.
Okay.
It's the best thing I've got for now.
we're still working on our things. So if you have any ideas for things, I don't have a thing yet. Let me know, and we'll do a poll, and I'll have you guys tell me what my thing is. Anyway, so here we are. We in the previous episode, we had another From the Middlers kind of episode, which is a lot of fun. We enjoy the interaction and the voice messages, the Facebook posts, talking through those things, playing off of your guys' ideas. I don't know. In my opinion, your guys' ideas are better than ours, and so keep that stuff rolling. As a matter of fact, we didn't even have enough time in the last episode to get through all of the different interactions that we wanted to, and we are perfectly okay with making like half of this podcast about what you guys think and say, and we play off of that stuff. It's just it's a lot of fun for us. So that said, Kory, where are we going?
Yeah, so just to double down on the context. So this all started with us doing 2 episodes on pet peeves. We are just generally annoyed by the way that certain people do things, right? So we talked about pet peeves for 2 episodes. So if you are interested in sort of like picking up where this really ongoing series of podcasts started, it was episodes 15 and 16. And then we thought it was only fair that we talk about the things that make us weird, right? So then in episode 19...
Which was an idea brought to us by a middler.
Cool Cat John said, talk about some of the things that make you weird. So that was our Freak Flags episode, which was 19. And then this past episode, we had a lot of voicemails building up from you guys, so we wanted to address each of those. And like Kendall just said, there was... one of our middlers, Sherry, she has a really good list of pet peeves and freak flags. So this is really like 4 or 5 episodes that weren't necessarily in sequential order that have built into this really fun conversation. And we all agreed, like, do we want to just keep doing episodes and like people responding to, and we're like, if that's all it is, then who cares? Because that's what this is about for us, is like the connection, the interaction, civil discourse, and all of that. So we've enjoyed it. So we just thought we would continue. So I'm going to go through Sherry's list, and you guys stop me when there's one that you want to talk about, because some of these are pretty funny, and I think that we could go off on little tangents about each of these. So we'll start with her pet peeves, and really she should probably just be on the podcast talking about some of these, but we're going to go through them. Pet peeves. All right. A screaming kid in a store. A parent beating and swearing at their screaming kid in a store. Mm-hmm. Listening to parents negotiate with their screaming kids in a store. So the first 3, I feel like there's a story here that Sherry could probably share with us. But yeah, that kind of goes into what we were talking about with parenting. Jeremy Kester called in about that. When you see this going on in a store, you feel compelled to step in, but is that appropriate? And how do you do that tactfully and respectfully? But you can see that they're melting down.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, right?
That's a difficult one, because you see, I think that different people will have different responses to like different levels of discipline.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you can and I'm not trying to open the Pandora's box of corporal punishment here.
Right.
But even then, like there's different levels of corporal punishment, and for some people, it's just if you see physical punishment at all, then it's a pet peeve of yours. For some people, there's a line that can be crossed at some point. And so there's that, and so for a lot of those folks, like it's a lot of it's going to be inexcusable, and I think all of us at the very least have a line to say it gets to a point where it's always going to be inexcusable,
Right.
and then or even like yelling at your kid in a certain way, but I feel like at some point, as long as you haven't crossed that line, I think it's good to maybe take into account, like, there's a backstory there that you don't know.
Right.
You don't know how the day's been going.
Right.
And you don't know what they've got going on at home. You don't know if the other spouse is on chemotherapy right now, and
Exactly.
not that any of that stuff is always an excuse. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if you see them a little harsh with their kids, like I think most parents would tell you that there have been times that they've been harsher with their kids than they wish they would have been.
Right.
Yeah.
I can certainly say that
Yeah.
I have moments of
Oh,
regret.
same. Absolutely.
So I would say that I wouldn't forget to kind of hedge your own mind on some of that stuff, unless that line has been crossed. That line of never excusable has been crossed.
Oh, sorry. There was a fourth bullet on the same theme. Stores where it is a normal practice to swear and beat your children.
Yeah, what stores are I?
Like, I want to know where she's shopping.
No kidding.
I have an idea. Okay.
Are you doing your grocery shopping at the
Dylan,
Speedway?
do you even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole? Any of those?
Yikes.
Okay. You don't have to.
I feel some of the parents gone, his kid's only 18 months. He doesn't know anything. I just feel like that's like looming.
Oh,
in the
yeah. I
background.
wouldn't think that. You still have thoughts. Like,
Yeah. I agree with Kendall. There's a certain line, and I'm not going to define the line here. But there's a line that we kind of know, like, okay, somebody's gone too far. But yeah, that's absolutely true. Like, what's hard is putting yourself in the mindset that, and we've talked about similar things in previous episodes. You might be catching somebody at the 2% of the time that they snap.
Yeah.
When 98% of the time, they're super patient, they're super kind, they're very loving with their kids, they're very whatever.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have noticed it because it didn't cause a scene.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so you never know when you're catching somebody at that bad time. And so, it's that I'm really, really, we said it early on, I give people lots of latitude. I try to assume positive intent. And there's a line. I mean, if you're talking about abusing your kids in a store, yeah, that's tough though, man. I've certainly been hyper stressed, and especially about things that it wasn't the final thing that was a big deal. It was the culmination of a lot of little things that pushed me over the edge. And so from the outside, even looking in, somebody can go, well, how can you blame an 18-month-old or whatever, a kid for doing something so minor? And you're like, yeah, but that's like the whole day's worth of frustration just built in that moment. So that's really tough.
And if you didn't listen to the 2 episodes on pet peeves, you should know that that's ultimately where we got to at the end of 16, where it was like, if we had empathy for people, and it was fun to just list off all of our pet peeves for an episode and a half, but that's ultimately where we got, which was, let's assume the best. Let's, and even if it isn't the best, we should still have grace for people who, had a rough day. So, but they're still fun to talk about. So we're not trying to make you feel bad, Sherry. Yes, that is annoying. And people should beat their kids. Moving on.
Shouldn't.
Should.
I think there was
No.
I think there was an NT.
Should definitely beat their kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Different position than I would have assumed you would have taken. Okay, go ahead.
Or negotiate.
Obviously, we're joking.
That does fall in line with the little terrorist reference that people use in regards to their kids. Like never negotiate with terrorists, and that's how they refer to their children.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're being a little terrorist today.
Chronic tardiness. We talked about that a little bit. Spencer weighed in on that.
Bad people.
Bad people.
Bad people.
K as a text response. K.
Yeah.
The ladies love that one.
Yeah, that's so. There's some funny backstory there because apparently I was known amongst my relatives for just sending, what was it, just okay to everything. Was that
I think it was just K, but
No. I've never been just a K person, but
Okay.
I think I used to just say
Okay.
Okay, the letters O and K, and I would send that back as a response. So somehow to family members, that became their version of just K, even though I wasn't sending the letter just K. So then when it was brought to my attention, I had to modify my response for basic things like, "Hey, we're gonna meet tomorrow at 7 p.m." I wasn't allowed to just say okay anymore.
Yeah.
So I would have to say like, okay, comma, sounds good, exclamation point, smiley face, to things that should have only required an okay response.
He's talking about me. He's talking about
It
me.
might have been. It felt like almost a intervention type meeting where it's like, Dylan, you say okay, but we all know you just mean K. That's not how I meant it.
Listen,
So-
we've all been wanting to talk to you about something that's bothering us, and just because you put that extra letter in there, it's not okay.
doesn't make it okay. K. Yeah,
And
that's
it's
how.
okay. A-Y, by the way.
Yeah. What if he? Yeah. What
Spelled
if
it
he spelled
out.
it out? O-K-A-Y.
That feels even
Or what
more,
if he
that
said-
feels passive aggressive.
Or what if he said okie dokie?
Ooh.
Okie doke. I say okie doke a lot.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
I just solved a Hubble problem.
Thank you for
Thanks,
that.
dude.
You're welcome, guys.
You're a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Lack of / incorrect punctuation. We talked about that a little bit, I think. That's kind of my going back and correcting my own errors in text. But yeah, if it's all lowercase and one rambling long thing,
That's tough, man.
I struggle with that.
That's tough.
I almost appreciate it if it's missing entirely.
Yes.
More than
If you tried to.
More than if they capitalize the very first letter, write a paragraph, and then put a period at the end.
So if you
Because then I was like, because then I'm like, okay, so I know that.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean?
And I've actually seen companies where like their branding and how they do things is all lowercase, no punctuation. So it's like, okay, at least it's intentional. Like you're just saying, this is how I write things.
Yeah.
But if you start to try, it looks worse.
Yeah.
If you're like, yeah, that's funny.
I don't have that thing.
Okay.
Don't relate.
She also lists crooked tablecloths or napkin dispensers, condiment caddies, and menus on a restaurant table. Just general clutter at restaurants really bothers her.
Is that? Yeah, I feel like that should be in the freak flag category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Crooked
think she
tablecloths.
gets there. She gets there later. So
Okay.
we'll come back
I
to
don't.
that.
Yeah, I definitely organize the table like you take the little straw. Well, we don't have straws in the U.S. anymore, but when we used to have straws,
Because we're killing sea turtles, apparently.
when we used to have straws and we would ball up the straw paper, although
Right,
Mike
yeah.
might fold it. I don't know. It's not foil, but he might fold it. If you ball it up and throw it on the table, I like to congregate those things. So like I would want to take something and like roll them up together to have one single pile of trash and
Yeah.
not separate. And then I kind of stack things at the end for the server because I don't want them to have things strewn all over.
I've heard that servers hate it when you do that.
They probably do. I see,
That
but
they have their own little personal system, and it's better if you just let them grab.
it probably is. If you've ever been a server, you are weigh in on that on our social media.
Wait.
I feel like I'm going to see them haphazardly just stack it all really quick anyways. So I don't stack it in a weird way. Like the biggest round plate at the bottom
Yeah.
and then the next thing that makes sense and the smallest ketchup jar on the top and
Oh, of course, yeah, and collect the silverware, put that all on top.
put that all in one spot laying the same direction. Yeah.
So not this Sherry. My Sherry was a server, and she always consolidates the dishes on the table because she's like, I would have appreciated that. All the plates, all the bowls, and then all the silverware on
Oh,
top.
see, I think this is a thing where you can't please everybody because
Interesting.
I've certainly read.
They don't like
at
it,
least, yeah, like a BuzzFeed article from servers that were like, we don't like it when you do this.
Interesting.
We might
But-
need a poll.
But then
on
the
that.
other side of me like thinks that like it would be if I were a server, it'd be nice. So
Maybe it's just don't do it if you're bad at it.
maybe
If you don't know how to stack things in
I
a
don't
way
even-
that they don't immediately implode on themselves and fall over, then
with you?
don't.
well,
do it.
here's the thing.
I
think,
love that word.
I don't know of anybody who's doing that is like doing it poorly.
That's what I would think.
Like,
I'm just imagining someone does all the bowls first.
let's see them handle this one.
Bowl plate, nacho cheese cup.
No,
then another plate. Okay.
All the bowls first. silverware sticking out,
Oh.
then trying to do plates on top. So there's
the
no way.
worst.
Like what monster is going to do? Everybody's
Somebody.
going to go big plates, medium plates, bowls, silverware.
Yeah.
You'd think.
Well, maybe that's the issue.
I think that if we're gonna try to live in the safest culture we can,
Yeah.
when your server comes to the table, you need to ask them how they would like to be addressed.
So, Dylan, what did you want to
should-
drink? Diet whatever. Should I stack the plates at the end?
Exactly. You should ask them if you
Because
want
it's all
to
about efficiency.
McDonald's. Is that the word?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's funny. Okay, here's a polarizing one, guys. Strap in. TP that is rolling under rather than over.
Yeah. So TP that is wrong versus TP that's right.
Now, I thought that way too
Nope.
until I saw a photo
Wrong.
Yeah.
of cat owners. They say, I intentionally do it, quote unquote, wrong because my cat, if it puts its paws on the front, it's going to unroll all the toilet paper.
Get it?
If it goes under and my cat puts its paws on the front, it's just going to keep flopping over and over and over, and the toilet paper will never come down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
exception to the rule that I would be fine with.
That is.
So if you're
yeah.
a cat owner, the cat's not going to go to the back of the roll against the
Right.
wall. They're just going to put their paws on the front.
Right.
So that makes sense to me.
I'm fine with that.
I suppose I'm okay with it. I usually try not to consider the cat people.
Yeah, because cats are the worst. But
But for normal, regular households.
yeah,
Google toilet paper patent, and it shows you in the original patent that the toilet paper goes over the top of the
You
roll.
would have researched this. Huh?
Absolutely.
that's like GIF and GIF.
It's
Yeah, I
GIF.
know. Yes.
It's
The
GIF.
the
Jeez.
creator said
The creator's wrong.
GIF.
He's wrong.
He's wrong.
He's wrong.
Because the abbreviation is the G. It's graphics,
Oh,
Exactly.
I know what it is.
so it's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not peanut butter, folks. So
if he had used a J word at the beginning when he created it and not a G word like graphics, then I would have listened to him.
so that segues perfectly because the next one is spelling errors.
Okay.
So we've already kind of talked. Some of these jump around a little bit, but I want to honor the order in which she wrote them.
Sure.
So,
Fair.
spelling errors. Slow walkers. Well, we certainly talked about that one.
Yes, we did.
Those were my first 5 pet peeves. People in my way.
You're dead to us.
Obscure noises, running, trickling water, bathroom fans, and clocks ticking. Once again,
Interesting.
misophonia comes up.
People
Yeah.
hate noises.
Trickling water. Now, there's apps dedicated to all of those sounds for people.
Yeah.
Fans, trickling water, like a little fountain. You know the little ones you could buy in your room. I used to have one.
Mm-hmm.
You'd pour a little like solo cup of water in, and you'd turn on the motor, and it would run little trickling.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
apps dedicated to those noises, so that's fascinating to me. You're not
Some
wrong.
people want it, and some people.
Yeah, you're not
want it.
wrong, Sherry. I'm just fascinated by it.
Yep. Someone bouncing their leg.
Oh, I do that all the time.
I do that. Yeah.
All the time.
So maybe she couldn't have been a guest.
That's a way for me to. I very consciously feel like that's a way for me to get anxiety essentially out, or nervous energy.
Yeah.
I very actively feel that when I'm doing it.
It's and it's kind of compelled. Like if you're not aware of it and you do it, and then somebody, such as a spouse, is like, "Hey, you're annoying me. Stop it." And so you stop it, and then the only thing you can think about is how much better you would feel if you were
Yeah.
bouncing your leg.
Yep. That's 100% accurate.
It doesn't really bother me, but if I'm seeing someone do it, it makes me think they want to get out of here. I'm holding them up from something.
Yeah.
They've got to go to the bathroom.
Also could be a reason. Yeah.
So I'm like, I become aware of it. Like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Are they?
Yeah. Because it's about you.
Yeah, because it's all about me. And James is like, oh, opportunity for him to sing, and he took it. We've referenced like 7 or 8 Middlers already. This is kind of fun. It's feeling like they're here in the room, and
Yeah.
so people
Their force ghosts are here.
people who cut in line.
Man. Yeah. Yeah. That happens in traffic a lot too. There's the long line for some major
Exit.
route or exit. And then the last minute, the person's playing dumb, like, oh, I didn't know that this was the exit. Your license plate tag says Franklin County. You knew exactly what was happening. That's when I
Yep.
give them a pass, though. If I'm in that lane and I see a car trying to get over, and I'm like, "What do you do?" Oh, Pennsylvania plates. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
I'll give that one a pass.
rude driving just gets to me.
Out-
Or like people, if you're trying to go straight through an intersection and the people across from you have their left-hand turn light on, and then your light turns green, but the flow is still turning left in front of you.
Yeah.
Because nobody bothered to look at the light to see that their green arrow is gone. They're just following the idiot in front of them. That I was in the car with my wife the other day, and she caught me like my light turned green, and I patiently watched as the first car kept turning left in front of me, then the second one, and then the third and a fourth one were also following behind. And so like I did the whole like I'm going to go forward and then like stop abruptly, and then the third car, like the person looked at me but then just kept going. The fourth car stopped relatively abruptly because they saw that I was moving forward. Otherwise, I'm sure that they would have gone.
Yeah.
And so that's I
Hey,
don't know.
that's the Dax Shepard Kristen Bell thing that we talked about. I mean,
it is exactly.
that's what it is.
It is exactly like my patience and my level of grace in those moments is too low. And I mean, there's another on a route home. Often for me, because of where we live, there's a situation where there's two left-hand turn lanes, but once you turn left, within the first 100 yards, the right-hand lane has to merge into the left-hand lane.
Right.
And you see most everybody, including myself, is just lined up in that left turn lane.
Yep.
And then you see the one guy who pulls around to the front. And I'm
Those
just thinking,
opportunists.
I'm just like trying to ESP to all the cars in front of me. Don't let them in.
don't let him in.
Don't let them in. Don't let them in. And anyway, I'm screwed up.
Would this bother you? So my route home, major road, 3 lanes goes down to 2 lanes.
Yeah.
Everyone does that. They
Yeah.
know that lane close is coming, and they try to drive as fast as they can to get around as many cars as possible.
Yeah.
So typically somewhere right when you see that last like lane closes in quarter mile, whatever, if I'm in the left lane, I'll start driving in the middle of both lanes to prevent people from doing that.
It's a little nonverbal communication that, hey, I am that guy, and I'm in front of you, and it's going to stay that way.
Especially at that point, because it's getting so close to the fact that they're going to have to merge super abruptly when traffic's by that point is going 50, 60 miles an hour. I'm uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I'll literally drive in the middle of both lanes until it fully merges, and then I'll get back fully into my lane.
Yeah.
The left lane, because I'm like, no, you're gonna literally be stuck behind me, or you're gonna have to drive in gravel to get around me if you think you won't die.
I love how in that moment you take it upon yourself to police the rest of the highway. Like, this is how it's going down from me back.
I don't know a better way to do it.
That's awesome.
I don't know if that would bother you. I feel like the people around me that didn't do it themselves are
You know
going,
what you should do?
that
is
guy
you should,
gets
you
it.
should install like one of those school bus arms on the side of your vehicle.
Stop. I love that idea.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, or just drive a school bus. That'd be good.
All right, back to Sherry's list of pet peeves. Toilet paper in public bathrooms that doesn't roll properly, and you have to tear it off one square at a time.
Yeah.
So it's like either jammed up in the thing, or
That's the worst.
or it's cattywampus. Time-sensitive flyers that have been hanging since 2016.
That feels oddly specific.
Well, here it gets better. Flyers typed up in Word using Comic Sans. Okay, this is like there's a whole thing for graphic designers where
Artists, do your thing.
Comic Sans and Papyrus are 2 of the most hated fonts in all of design. So someone created a font that is Papyrus Comic Sans. Papyrus is the one where the words are like a little bit worn, like they're starting to chip away, like they're
Okay.
little jagged. And then you've all seen Comic Sans.
we know Comic Sans.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of the 2. It's kind of funny. Toilet seats that are left up. This is interesting, and I don't know. So I'll read it and then let you guys react and then give you my hypothesis. So another pet peeve of Sherry's is that I have to be flexible enough to lift my leg up 3 feet to flush the toilet. Why don't they make foot flushers on the ground? So she's saying, I don't want to have to touch it. Or does she think that that's for your foot?
That's funny because the way that's written is she doesn't explain that that she doesn't use her hand to flush public toilets, and it almost makes me wonder if she thinks that that's right, that's the norm, that's like nobody uses their hand to flush a public
so
toilet.
I'll read it again. All
right.
That I have to be flexible enough to lift my leg up 3 feet to flush the toilet. Why don't they make foot flushers on the ground?
All right.
I think foot flushers on the ground is a good idea either way.
It's a great idea.
But
Sherry's smart. She's doing it because I think it's a public toilet and she doesn't want to use her hand.
But it almost it's fun to think that she doesn't know that that's for your hand.
I know. Yeah, it is fun to go down that route.
Why? See, I just take a little extra toilet paper and use that between my hand and the thing.
I don't even do that.
And then I flush it with the toilet paper and then throw the toilet paper away.
I use my chin.
That's not a thing.
And then if I walk in,
do you ever get anything stuck in your beard hair? Or?
This is foot picking to me.
Not too often. Not too often. If there's some schmutz on the seat before I go in, I'll scrape it off with my fingernail.
So that brings up another thing though. Like if I'm drying my hands, I'll take the paper towel and dry my hands. Use the paper towel I just dried my hands on to grab the door. Mm-hmm. Use my foot to hold the door open and then ball up and throw away the paper, and then I don't have to touch the door on the way.
What if the trash receptacle is not within reach?
It always is.
Okay.
It's never not within. Or it's a short throw where I'll take the chance and it's the paper ball in the trash can.
Or you just take it with you and then
I could. I've never had to. I mean, if it's a fast food restaurant, I know 5 feet away from the bathrooms there's going to be a trash can by a door or something. I can take it out there, but I almost never have to.
Yeah.
I can prop it open with my foot, ball it up, throw it away, keep going.
And what about air dryers? Because we've all read the articles about how dirty air dryers are. And
yeah.
so I don't use those. I just walk out with wet hands.
Typically what I'll do is especially if I have a shirt on or something, I'll use my shoulder or my elbow if it's long sleeve, and I'll just bump it with my sleeve or my shoulder.
I gotta call timeout.
Yeah.
You just said we've all read the articles about how dirty air. I don't know what you're talking about.
No one's read those articles.
No one's read those articles but me, eh?
Yep. Only me.
The button?
No, like the actual, the warm and moist environment on the inside of the blower is just a breeding ground for bacteria.
Okay.
And so you're blowing that stuff onto
Well, because I've always thought, wait, we've got motion-activated faucets, motion-activated air dryers, and then I have to put my hands on a door.
Right.
What? Like...
Yeah.
So, no, it is, that's... I mean, or at least I've read it enough that it has convinced me that, if you have the option of air dryer or towel dry, you always grab the towel. Because that's more sanitary than the air dryer. And then if the only option is an air dryer, then you're cleaner to just skip it.
Yeah.
Or try to shake dry your hands and wipe the rest on an old shirt or hoodie, hoping you have something to wipe the water on. Too specific? No? Okay.
Moving on.
And I've actually heard that the paper towel dispensers are still less wasteful from an environmental standpoint because the amount of power wasted on the air hand dryers.
Well, that could be
Interesting.
It's because it's always recycled paper that's used anyways.
Interesting.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Sometimes we try to over-invent things that we should just stick to.
That's true.
Speaking of which, another pet peeve of Sherry's is that companies aren't smart enough to put their product in a Ziploc type bag. So like sugar, cereal, flour, chips.
Yeah, makes sense.
Some have switched, but it's typically the fancier. It's got to be more expensive packaging.
Oh, of course. That's
why
they
don't do it.
Yeah.
This one's funny. Bleachers. Everything about bleachers. People sitting in my space. I want to lay my stuff beside me and prop my feet up in front of me. Or the opposite. People propping their feet up beside me or laying their crap too close to me.
that one made me laugh. It was like, I'm peeved either way. I'm going to literally get pet peeved by by someone doing the things that I do.
This is a great way to end her list of pet peeves, and then we'll move on to her freak flags. Inevitably being seated in a restaurant next to the screaming kid who was just beat by his parents in the store.
Oh,
Sherry, you're awesome. That's so
great
funny.
list.
Good list. Okay, so Here's where she gets a little vulnerable and starts sharing her freak flags. So back to the table clutter. I clear the clutter from a table in a restaurant as soon as I sit down and throughout the meal. So I place the napkins and silverware in front of each person, since the waitress usually throws it in a pile, and I'm constantly tidying the straw wrappers, the crooked placemats, etc.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah, I relate to you on that. We talked about that.
I would put the placemats at right angles for sure.
I definitely set the table when I sit. Like, well, we have kids, and so I do the same thing. If there's a caddy in the middle of the table, I get rid of that sucker immediately.
Yeah. Why do we have it?
Because there's sweetener packets and honey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a place to keep the mustard and ketchup and sweeteners and advertising and
Yeah.
Dessert menus.
So she says, next freak flag. Every time I get out of the car, I ask the driver to lock the door so I can hear the beep. That is usually followed by 17 beeps. So she gets driven around a lot.
Apparently, yeah.
well, and
Okay.
she's worried about someone else's car getting broken into.
Yeah.
That's thoughtful.
That's thoughtful. This one was funny. When others are speaking, I type the conversation in my head.
That is so weird to me. That is, well, not weird. I mean, I'd never thought of that before, but now that she said that, like, I wonder,
What
is there a
happens-
lot of people that are doing that?
Yeah, what happens with the typed conversation when you're done? Do you mentally file it away? That's a serious question.
We got to hear back from her on some
Yeah,
of these.
because I like if you have now what's in your head like a mental transcript of the conversation, do you like fold it up with the fax edges and like and layer it and then put it in a file folder and a mental like? I'm curious because if you're gonna go that far, I wonder if there's a next step or if it just dissipates in your mind.
And did she watch a lot of Doogie Howser as a kid?
I will read in an accent sometimes. Like if you see a meme that like doesn't always have to have the picture of the celebrity like Morgan Freeman or whatever, right? I'm now going to read that in his voice, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Of
And
course.
some things are funnier. Like to me, I always like my go-to is like an old British woman. Like I go to that accent for some reason. If I'm reading certain things,
like even if it's like contextually not hinted toward you,
I will try to make it.
you just kind of
I'll try to justify it. I'll try to make
Yeah.
it make sense. But like, just a funny general go-to reading voice would be old British woman.
See,
That is funny.
my brain, if there's ever an internal voice, it typically defaults to like David Attenborough.
Yeah.
From previous jobs, I've been around enough of like the planet Earth type things where he's narrating. He's got a great voice for that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of David Attenborough bouncing around up there.
Okay, so this was one of our first ones for freak flags, volumes on the TV and radio. So she said she has to land on even numbers, and oddly, in quotes, her birthday and her kids' birthdays are in odd years, and it freaks her out. Okay, this next one I laughed at because I used to do something similar. She says, when riding in a car, I lift my toes over every driveway that we pass.
I had never heard of that before. I thought it was so weird, and I was trying to figure out why she was doing that. And I was reading this list out loud to my wife, who said that she does that.
She does that?
My wife does that.
Like with speed bumps and things. Is that the idea?
No.
Yeah, my wife does that with driveways. It's like she's imagining that the driveway is like extending out into the road, and that they're like hurdles that she has to jump.
Wow. That's
Sort of
great.
sort of thing.
So if there was ever a shadow that would get cast across the road or those black tar lines where they repair cracks,
Yeah.
as a kid, I would pretend like the car was leaping over them, but like an animal would. So like the front tires would hit and then the back and land, and then the front tires would go up and the back ones would go up. So it was like doing little hops over those lines. I would imagine the car was doing that, even though it's obviously just going flat. So it made me think of that.
is
It's
it?
interesting that's really interesting.
Yeah. So now
That it's
it's like
shared.
it's like the typing things in your head thing. Something that I'd never thought about was entirely foreign to me as a concept, but now I know of two people that like lift their toes while driving past driveways, and now I'm wondering if that's a thing.
Is it
Or
both?
was there like a childhood game of some sort that I'm unaware of that I was never a part of?
Like jump rope? Is it that?
Well,
Is
is
Sherry
it?
from Cincinnati?
I don't know. Is it both sides of the road too? Do you got to keep your eyes peeled on both sides? That's a lot of driveways.
No kidding.
So are there parts where your toes are just up the whole time until It's interesting.
Yeah.
So many follow-up questions, Sherry. You're going to have to like go back, listen to this episode, type all of what we're saying out in your head, and then respond in actual text.
Send us the transcript.
Send
but
us the
an
transcript.
actual one would be good.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. It made me think of something else, but I forgot it. She said, when I'm in a local business, if I see photos, brochures, or business cards that are crooked, she'll tidy them up.
Yep.
She's just a general tidier. All right. This one's funny because I heard my neighbor talking about it the other day. She said, I wear a Garmin step counter, and when I get ready for bed, I look at the number and walk around until it's at a good stopping point, usually rounding up to the next 100 or 1,000. If her Garmin is charging, I don't walk until I have it back on my arm because why waste the steps?
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. I've heard that from a lot of people that do pedometers.
Yeah.
That they
It's
intentionally will.
It's pedometer.
Whatever.
Pedometer is funny to say.
I don't know if you're kidding or not.
I am.
Okay.
Of course he is.
Thank goodness. I've been saying pedometer for a long time.
Yeah. Pedometer.
A lot of people walking away from weird conversations.
Or
So,
a pedometer. Okay. Okay, moving on.
anyways, that's really funny. It's the opposite of what the thing is supposed to make you want to do. And it's with the Apple Watches and the rings too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not going to go do anything remotely physical until I put my watch on so I get credit, in quote, for
Yeah.
it. Because if it doesn't help me close my rings, I'm not doing it. Really, that's very funny.
Well, I think that's the same kind of thing as. Well, no, it's different because you can justify. Remember back in the day when you or your parents used to always pay cash at the gas station, and you would pump first and then go inside and pay with cash after you were done pumping.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing always was to get to the nearest dollar.
Right.
Right. Now and so my first thought was like, well, this isn't any different than that, other than that had
A reason.
because you didn't want a pocket full of change.
Right.
So I wonder what would happen if you got to 101. What do you do? You accidentally took one more step.
I guess she's doing laps around the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is it like Dylan with the ball, and you just gotta hit a number until
My heart still breaks when I think of little Dylan bouncing the racquetball against the wall. Are you mad that I brought that up on the other
No,
podcast?
I could care less.
Okay. He's
I've
over
got
it.
nothing to hide with you people.
Okay, more freak flags. I have to delete the red dot notifications as soon as they come up, but I don't want to block the notification because I want to know I received something.
Fair.
That's sensible.
Yeah, I get it.
Not freaky. She needs an empty inbox. It's her challenge every day.
What do you... I assume we're talking email.
Yeah.
What do you mean by empty? Just no notifications or like to literally clear?
I think it means gone.
So you've got to have a good folder system.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You're filing things
Okay.
away.
Because I have a folder, my work email, I have tons of folders. Personal, I still have several. Like I have a receipts folder that I would say that like casually at work, and a lot of people would be like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And I'm like, "Yeah, literally every email receipt I just put in that, so I never have to think about it again." That's probably where it is. But yeah, you'd have to have a lot of folders for most people because there's a lot of junk.
I'm at the point with my work email in Outlook where I've committed to a folder system since I've been working with the company, which it's been 5 in the amount of time that I've been there. But I'm actually thinking of changing it because there's some reasons why it's not working anymore. And I'm like, that's going to be like a whole week. Like changing my folder structure and like renaming things. And you know what I mean? Like it feels like it's going to be but then at the end, I know how good I'll feel. Like, it's so weird. At the end of a podcast or Netflix show, I don't like to leave a few seconds left. So I swipe to the end and then delete it from my available episode list. That's what I was saying about the red bar.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
And Netflix will jump to the next episode without playing the credits a lot of times.
Oh, boy.
I got to go back. Like, so you have to go back and like watch credits. I'll watch it just so I can fast forward.
You've got to make that not your current episode anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
This one's interesting. She said, so I started running back in the CD and headphone days. I still feel most natural with something in my left hand, whether it's a phone, flashlight, keys, etc.
Fair.
Just because she's so used to that. When I'm on a walk, I consciously step between the cracks in the blacktop. And then
You don't want to break your mother's back.
Right. And then she said, after reading this, I realize why I live alone. Well, we are with you in spirit, Sherry, and thank you for listening to our podcast, and thank you for being so open. I loved it. And so she sent this to our inbox on the Facebook page, and I said, Sherry, these are so great, and some of it is comedy gold, not in a making fun of you way, but in a we're so alike way. Do you mind if we share? And she said, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, thanks for sharing. That's really fun. And I think we're onto something with these pet peeves and freak flags, guys.
Yeah, like I said, it's no. What's funny is you say all the time when you get a lot of response from people that you touched a nerve, and I think, like, generally speaking, we just touched all of the nerves.
Yeah.
So, like, if there's a nerve to be touched, we just simply pointed out the fact that you have nerves to be touched.
Yeah.
And then you all started talking about it.
Yeah, and it was fun. I think we could come back to this like pretty regularly and have a new batch. Or have more comments from people to walk through and talk to.
Yeah, my guess is the comments are not done.
Yeah, because we're certainly going to keep thinking of more. And it was funny how many people, I had several friends that I grew up with that contributed some of theirs to being around me.
Yeah.
I got them doing the volume thing, right? So, we're going to think of more. Other people are going to think of more. And it was a lot of fun talking about it. So, I loved all the follow-up. Thank you guys for that, for everyone listening that was willing to do voicemails and emails and comments, and keep doing that, because even if it doesn't make the cast, it doesn't mean it's not great and we don't appreciate it, because it's a lot of fun.
So before we move off of this, so I mentioned in the last episode that Betsy commented, and so I'll read her comment because she updated it with another thing. She said, oh my gosh, on a scale of 1 to 10, that was about 20 for too much information. And I'm starting to think Dylan is the most normal, but that's probably because I haven't met him yet.
I think that's exactly why.
I think my response to that was something like, I'm the most normal. What a world we live in. And Betsy, that's so kind. I can't ever meet you now, so it's going to be great interacting with you on social media. I'd love to remain the most normal.
Well, here's what she says. So there's an update. So she said, well, that opinion might change with firsthand experience. So she says, I too alphabetize my DVDs, and I have my CDs alphabetized and sorted by genre, even though I rarely listen to them. And I see nothing wrong with keeping your food properly rotated so that the old stuff is eaten first. However, heel picking and obsessive light switch pushing is way over the edge.
And since those last two weren't mine, you're absolutely right. They are definitely super weird, Betsy. So thank you for commenting.
There's a lot of good stuff
People
there.
still have CDs.
I know. I was thinking that too. We told the story that I got somebody's CD in New Orleans, a really good guitar player and vocalist, and I wanted to listen to it. Bought a CD. Still haven't listened to it.
Yeah,
I was there like a year and a half ago.
It's a CD.
I don't know where to play it.
Yeah, your car doesn't do it.
No. Nope.
It's all Bluetooth now.
I don't even have CD players in my car.
Yeah, you've fortunately game systems all act as CD players still. So if you have
That's true.
something that plays a disc like a game system, pop a CD in. It's amazing how many people didn't know those kind of things. Like, I would be talking to somebody about some sort of AV audio video solution, and it's like, yeah, and a Blu-ray player will still play DVDs and CDs, and probably 85% of the time the response was, really? It'll play both of those, all of them. I'm like, yeah, it'll play all three of those, so just pop any one of them in.
That's a great segue to some geek culture sort of tech stuff. So a couple things. You were just talking about PlayStation 5 might be backward compatible all the way back to PlayStation 2.
I think I read that, yeah.
That's super interesting. And then I think there are some updates on Disney Plus that we should mention. We talked a little bit about that in a previous episode. Like how you can pay for it, pre-order, and they've also listed all the stuff officially that's going to be on there.
Yeah, you're starting to see, because I believe Disney Plus is launched in a few countries, and so you're starting to get a list of some of the things on there. Mm-hmm. I think we had excitedly talked about some of the exclusives, but like it's pretty much the whole Disney, Pixar backlog. A lot of the Disney Channel stuff is on there. I mean, I sent the list to a bunch of people and was just looking at a lot of the content that's on there right now, even without the exclusives. And it's like, yeah, it's my childhood. Like most of what we watched is on there. And so from a pricing standpoint, it's interesting because I got an email. I signed up for something to get on an email list for Disney Plus, and they sent me an offer that basically said, if you pay something like $160 up front, you can prepay for 3 years of the service. And if you do the cost breakdown, it's like $4.72 a month for 3 years.
Yeah. So they're about to nail Dylan down.
They're about to nail.
And this is just for the reference. This was episode 11 that we were talking about what's going on in streaming in Disney Plus. So anyway,
Yeah, so I was sort of waffling back and forth. I don't know why, because it's like I'm gonna watch this stuff for 3 years. I've got an 18-month-old. She's gonna be perfect for that for 3 years with all the content on there. And then it dawned on me that $160 seems like a lot until I think that that's what some people pay for cable in 1 month.
I know that to be true. That's crazy.
And then I instantly thought that is very little money for 3 years worth of content. That's exactly what Disney wants me to think, and that's fine. That's what mutually beneficial is, right?
Yeah, because what is it monthly without doing that?
$6 or
So
something.
you're saving $1 and change.
Yeah. It's the lifetime savings is something like in the email it says really clearly, if you do this thing across 3 years, you'll save $40.
Got ya.
So they're being really upfront about it. They're not trying to pretend like it's a massive savings, but $40 is $40 if you're probably going to pay for it anyways.
Yeah.
But it was really funny, and it pretty much cemented it when I was like, yeah, some people pay that literally in 1 month for cable. And that's 3 years worth of Disney content. So, but it is interesting. They are mentioning, and I don't know how it's going to work out, because Disney obviously has Disney Plus. They have Hulu. They're now the majority owner of Hulu, if not the exclusive owner now. And then there's going to be a bundle with Disney Plus, Hulu with ads, and ESPN Plus, all three for something like $13. And ESPN Plus might be good because a lot of the games that aren't on the major networks and UFC stuff is buried inside ESPN Plus.
Yeah, the ESPN Plus might grab me. I need to wait and see kind of like I just need more detail on what.
Yeah, because if you do the cost, it's like going to be $6 or so for Disney Plus. Hulu with ads is I think about $6. ESPN Plus is $5.
I don't know what ESPN Plus is.
I think it's $4 to $5. So you are saving $1 or $2 by bundling all three together.
Yeah, so we already have like the second tier of Hulu at home. We're debating on how much we might actually use Disney. I mean, when our kids watch TV, it's usually just PBS, and we're kind of happy with that.
Sure.
So I don't know. So yeah,
A lot of Peppa Pig in your house.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my point being that like we would probably use Disney, we would probably also be okay without it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would. The reality for like my situation is my wife and I are going to enjoy Disney Plus probably just as much, or if not more.
Oh yeah, sure.
Probably more than my daughter even will.
Probably.
Between Star Wars and Marvel content that's going to be exclusive on there, there's no doubt I'm going to use it a lot.
You're going to quit the podcast and become a full-time TV
I
watcher
would
once this
love
all
nothing
comes
more.
out.
Every time Netflix does one of those, like, hey, become an official Netflix watcher for 6 months nonstop, she sends that to me because she knows that would be like a dream. Like, sit in a room and watch Netflix for 6 months and get paid $50,000. Like, I would do that.
Kendall and I have a friend who scheduled his vasectomy
Yeah.
with the release of Disney Plus.
Yeah, we must have just been talking about that. I guess March Madness is another popular time to do that.
Yes, it is.
Because they know I'm going to be on the couch for at least a few days. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I get it. I'm excited for the Mandalorian too.
If I'm going to miss work, it's going to be during March Madness.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some cool updates. You can start Google searching that, what's on Disney Plus, prices, bundles, things like that. But yeah, it's really interesting. I'm excited for that deal. I'm going to have to sign up because I can't imagine I'm not going to still be watching it in 3 years.
Speaking of throwing back to episode 11 and Disney, we found out that there's going to be another Spider-Man movie.
We did. Old news now.
Last week.
Yeah, I think we threw it on our Facebook a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we just found out relatively recently there's going to be a third Spider-Man movie. between with Marvel and Sony in cooperation. And for me, what's more exciting is that Marvel will be allowed to use Spider-Man in other MCU movies.
As long as it's not a quote unquote Spider-Man movie.
Right. Which for me is just as exciting. Like, I don't necessarily need 5 more standalone Spider-Man movies, but knowing that he can be thrown into these other ensemble films with Marvel's other characters is way more exciting. And so I know the hardcore Spidey fans will want more individual movies, but I'm okay. I'm okay that it's not. I'll take whatever I can get at this point. So yeah, it's exciting. Disney's got a lot of stuff going on between the MCU. I think 2021, there's going to be 4 MCU movies that year. Now with the 3rd Spider-Man movie. So that's the first time there's been 4 MCU movies in one year. It's going to be a haul in Disney revenue for 2021. So
say nothing of the other major franchises.
Oh yeah, that's not even including all the other stuff Disney owns that they're going to be. They're going to be creating that year. It's not. And all of it's going to be on Disney Plus.
Within 10 years, if you turn on a TV or go watch a movie, it will be Disney.
And I'm going to be partially responsible.
We all are.
Yeah, that's funny.
I just found out that work is sending me to a conference in Orlando. And so for 4 days I'm working, but on the last day, I think Sherry and the kids are going to drive down. And on the last day, I'm going to get to go to the new Star Wars world. What's it called again? I can't believe the name is...
Galaxy's Edge.
Galaxy's Edge, yeah. And so we're going to do Hollywood Studios and do Galaxy's Edge. And so I'm pretty... jacked about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I found some Legos on sale for 50% off. So
big news.
That's what I've got.
Good update. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got going on in my world.
If you're an AFAL, the acronym adult fan of Lego, you know that Lego almost never goes on sale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10% off to 20% off is usually the most you'll see.
And every once in a while, some of the Kroger marketplaces here in Central Ohio will reduce their stock of Lego sets, and Target does as well sometimes. So anytime Dylan sees a set marked down half off or around that, he's texting me. He's like, "Do you want this? Do you want this? I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up for you," which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was super excited. So I got a good deal on some Lego. Speaking of sponsorships, Lego, if you're listening,
Oh man,
boy, would we love for you to send a truck our way. So. That was kind of a fun.
They should have a there's that Harley Davidson truck.
Yeah.
That travels around. There should be a Lego truck that travels around and lets adult kids build things for free.
Yeah, I would do that thing you said just now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you haven't followed Lego at all, they've done a really, really good job at licensing very popular IPs. So obviously we've all seen Star Wars Lego and Marvel and DC and stuff like that.
Right.
But they've continuously made these side sets, typically through what's called their Lego Ideas program, where fans will build things. They think Lego should release in official sets.
Okay, either in a 3D program that Lego has created, so you get unlimited pieces. Mm-hmm. You just create in this software whatever think would be a cool set.
Right.
Or actually build it with actual pieces and take pictures, and then people vote on it.
Yeah.
And if yours gets voted, that Lego makes it an actual set.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be a reward system for you, the creator.
Probably.
I haven't looked into it.
And they also have to work out contracts with these companies that own these things. So as an example, I recently they partnered with, I think Warner Brothers owns Friends, the TV show. Mm-hmm. They made a Central Perk Lego Friends set.
Yeah.
The coffee shop with all the main characters from the show Friends plus Gunther that works at I almost said Cafe Nervosa. That's Frasier.
That's Frasier.
I would love a Frasier set, although that would be awesome. So the Friends set, and if you're a Lego fan, it's only $60, which sounds super cheap. If you're not a Lego fan, you're like it's plastic.
Adults are spending how much on what?
Yeah. And super cool set. My wife, super awesome, got it, found it, and surprised me with it. I was very, very excited. But check these out. When I had said in a previous episode, if you've never really as an adult actually sat down and tried to relax and like build Lego that wasn't your kid set or something you were helping with, go find one of these really cool like Lego ideas sets or something that you're interested in. It's so much fun. It's just I'm such a fan.
Since you mentioned that previously, I haven't tried it yet, but I've often thought about like maybe that could be relaxing, doing a relatively mindless thing, but it's still like an activity to keep me busy.
I think you should
so
try
I don't
it.
get into trouble.
Yeah, that's what you're known for. So getting out of trouble would be good.
Yeah.
Try it. So everyone go to the store, find a relatively inexpensive Lego set that kind of interests you. The theme doesn't have to be a $60 friend set or a $800 Lego Millennium Falcon. Go find something that interests you. Turn on some music. If you have kids, wait till they go to bed and just try it. See if it's any fun for you.
Back to what we were talking about ideas, the Lego Ideas platform. So an article I shared on LinkedIn was talking about this, how this is actually a pretty innovative way for a company to work. You think about it, they're crowdsourcing their products.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely there.
So once again, this isn't just three dudes in the middle of Central Ohio talking about their crazy geek fandoms. This is actually like relevant stuff. So this article was saying an organization that is hungry for ideas is an organization that loves innovation. So take Lego, for example. They don't just get ideas from their employees, but also customers and fans via crowdsourcing. And the platform that they do that is open to get ideas for Lego models, designs, or projects from fans around the world. So then you vote, like we said, and that just increases their brand, the customer engagement. They get better ideas that way. I mean, it's super smart. It's really forward thinking, and I know other companies do that to varying degrees, but I think it's really cool.
It's one of the more high profile examples I've seen of crowdsourcing in a way that's at least the fans feel is mutually beneficial. You know, Lego's making money. The fans are getting sets they never would have gotten without the Lego Ideas program.
Right.
And they've done stuff like the Big Bang Theory TV show had a set that would have been in the vein of the Friends set.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
They had like a Women of Science, which was cool, like 4 or 5 female NASA scientists with like these kind of little micro sets behind them. They've done some the Fisherman's Wharf, I think is the name of one, was a really cool kind of unique looking sets. There's some really, really cool stuff. And if nothing else, you can go check out the Lego Ideas platform. There's stuff being voted on and uploaded all the time. You can just see some of the crazy cool stuff that just big fans of Lego are making.
Yeah, there was the DeLorean from Back to the Future with Marty and Doc that was really cool.
Yeah.
It's cool sets like that.
There's some awesome stuff in there. So if we've talked about being huge Lego fans before, but if you're also a fan of the show Friends, that'll be a fun one. My wife and I can build together later.
Cool.
Good stuff. Well, this has been certainly been a fun episode. We caught up with the last bit of our pet peeves and freak flags and talked a little bit of geek culture there and put a button on a few things that we had brought up in earlier podcasts. And, we're just having a lot of fun here. Sorry. I try to sneak it in when possible. Somebody said, can we please open every episode with Kory doing his baseball voice, which was immediately followed up by a comment where someone was like, no, this is a bad idea.
No thanks.
So it's a polarizing voice. But anyway, we really do appreciate that you guys listen. We've said this before. This really just started as an excuse for the three of us to hang out and just have conversation. And it's a fun, creative outlet. We try to be positive. We don't get too political or serious. It's just a fun time. 3 dudes chatting. And like we try to with every other episode, we hope that this is similar to if you were walking by a cafe and heard, us chatting over coffee, that you would just want to sit in the booth and be a part of it. And so that's the tone that we try to implement here with what we're doing, and just having fun and talking about being dads and husbands and fathers and men of faith and just all that comes with that. So we hope you've enjoyed the ride for 21 episodes. We're going to keep this train going as long as you'll listen to us. And anything you guys want to say before we close out?
That French fries did not originate in France.
Shut the front door.
No, they were first cooked in grease.
That's
Bye, guys.
how we're gonna end this. Isn't it?
Really? Is that how we're gonna end this?
That's how we're gonna end
Hey,
it.
I'm happy with it. Are you guys happy with it?
No.
Do you want another one?
No.
I actually heard a dad joke
Do it.
that I kind of liked.
Do
Okay.
it.
We've
Do
got
it.
to hear
It's a
it.
little bit of a pun. Everybody, now that I've said that I hate puns, my friends are sending nothing but puns.
We're turning you on to them now, aren't we?
Well, I think I liked the video of the guy laughing at it more than I liked the joke, but I've told it a couple times to my kids.
Okay.
So a bear walks into a restaurant,
Okay.
and the waiter says, "What would you like?" And the bear says, "I would like a grilled cheese." And the waiter says, "What's with the big paws?" And he says, "I'm a bear."
That's not bad.
That's pretty good. A horse walks into a bar, and the bartender asks, "Why the long face?"
Should have ended on mine.
Jay Leno walks into a bar, and the bartender asks, "Why the long face?" Sarah Jessica Parker walks into a bar. Bartender asks, "Why the long face?" Scottie Pippen walks into a bar. The bartender asks, "Why the long
This
face?"
is where we just play cricket noises, and you just your volume keeps getting quieter and quieter and quieter.
John Kerry walks into a bar.